Tonight we have our genealogy forum, so take it away.
This is Mary Branham. She has a website called Finding Your Family with Mary, and she does DNA, and she has all kinds of stories there, but she's only going to be on a few minutes now.
Hi there, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Mary Branham, and I'm a research and DNA genealogist, and my business is Finding Your Family with Mary. And I was fortunate enough to meet Dale through the fact that I help people find their birth families and build family trees and find mysteries that they're trying to find out. Maybe they're trying to learn more about their loved ones that have passed. And so Dale helped me with the birth mother. I have a client that is 81 years old that really wants to know who her birth parents are, and I've kind of figured it out. I'm pretty sure we're just going to validate it with some DNA here shortly. But he was with his wealth of information, it's down in Scranton where her family's from, and he was able to give me what is the potential birth mother pictures from archives, which was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful for me. So you may wonder, how did I get started in all this? Well, I started, it's been well over 15 years, close to 20, helping my mother. My mother, her parents divorced when she was like 4 years old. Her parents also died at very early ages, and her grandparents, who were all immigrants, also died at early ages. Don't worry, I'm happy to say on my dad's side, long lifelines. So I'm hoping I go that way. But so I apologize. I did give a pamphlet to Dale that I told him please email it to whomever wants it. I realized one foolish thing. I did not put my phone number in, which is 607-316-1211, and Dale can share that with you too, but it's got my email addresses. I'm from Oxford, New York, which is southern tier. It's a very rural area. And so I helped my mom find her family tree, find her family history, all the way back to Sweden. In fact, last year I went and met her Swedish first cousins. And also she got to meet online her Irish piece for her grandmother's side. So it was a rewarding thing that we did, but it was so rewarding, and it got me hooked completely on genealogy. And what I wanted to share with you are some of the sites that I use. So my three top sites are Ancestry.com, Fold3.com, and Newspapers.com. And Fold3 is a military records page, which is fantastic if you're trying to find anything on your loved one's military past. And Newspapers.com says it all. You can find newspaper articles, birth announcements, wedding announcements, any kind of information in there, but they are paid sites. And they're worth it. I will tell you, if you are interested in doing this and you want to go with Ancestry, Ancestry.com, the U.S. membership is for, like, if your family goes back many, many generations in this country, go with that at first and see how much information you can get. I love Ancestry because I lucked out finding family pictures. We all know how this goes. Back in the day before digital pictures, Aunt so-and-so never gave the pictures. She's got the pictures and we don't know what she did with them. With Ancestry, you may luck out into finding even family pictures above and beyond censuses and immigration records and birth and marriage and death records. It's wonderful. And if your relatives are like me, that all of my mother's grandparents were from Ireland and Sweden, then you're going to want to go with the World membership. And then if you want to save money, you can go with the World Explorer, which combines Newspapers.com, Ancestry.com, and Fold3.com. wonderful resources, but I also use a lot of free resources. And the first one that I use all the time, and they actually are the ones who started this, the FamilySearch.org. They've been documenting. They started with Swedish church records years ago and went off to English records. But you can find a wealth of information for free. You just you register and sign in, and you're welcome to look at any of their sites. You know, it's very easy to use. Another site I use is old Fulton postcards. Now that's a newspaper site that started in New York State that's free, but it is expanded, so you may find information on your loved ones in Pennsylvania as well too, but because, you know, we border each other, they could have, like when I was doing my client, a Scranton, PA person may have tons of family in Buffalo, New York. It's not an easy site to search on, but once you get used to it, old Fulton postcards is wonderful. Now, if you have Irish genealogy that you're trying to do, and you want to find civil records on marriage, birth, death, I would go to what's called the irishgenealogy.ie site. And from there, you can download records for anyone, any birth, marriages, or death from 1865 to present. It cuts off about 1910, I believe, but that's because you can't just be releasing those records due to privacy. And the last one, of course, is National Archives. So I did that for a long time, and it was great, but then I was hitting brick walls, and also I had many theories about my family members, but I didn't have the DNA proof, and so I started testing my family members. If you guys are considering doing this, I will highly recommend, if you have parents or grandparents, do the oldest ones first, because you're going to get more matches and closer matches doing it. But I went with Ancestry.com in the beginning. I also have tested in 23andMe, which is very good, but Ancestry.com, you can tie with your tree. You don't have to have a membership to do Ancestry.com. You just pay for your kit. With that information, you'll get the origins of your people, of your family member, of your ethnicity, plus your ethnicity breakdown, and also DNA matches. And you can click on those DNA matches and message, just like you would on Facebook. You can message people and ask them if they know how you're related, or did you know this person that you're trying to find. And if you do have a membership, though, if they have a tree, you can click on it and look into their tree deeper and see their records. But it's wonderful, wonderful information, and it's what solidified, especially for my Irish side. It really helped because, unfortunately, a lot of records for censuses are not there. They were wiped out, so it's very helpful. And this is what got me started on helping people with birth families. We put our family's DNA kits in there, and all of a sudden I've got people saying, I'm adopted. Can you help me? How am I related to you? And I said, yeah, I'll be happy to help you. And ironically, one of my DNA matches literally was finding out that my grandmother had given up a child in 1925. And as women, we can all imagine what our options were like if you found that you needed to give up your children back in 1925. You didn't have the options of, oh, I'm going to work and raise my child. Families wouldn't be very accepting, very difficult for a woman. But my grandmother did give up a child, and my heart goes out to her. I can't imagine what she went for, but now I understand why she was such an incredible mother to her 4 children that she had with my grandfather, and why she was always very accepting and never judging of anyone. As you can tell, a very special woman to me. But in this, then I actually got very good at figuring out people's DNA matches, and how, by building trees around those DNA matches and figuring out and theorizing who could be the birth mother or birth father. And I actually worked for a company as a consultant for a little while. Was very, very successful at doing it. However, sadly along the way, I found out that that company was not sensitive to the privacy and sensitivity to the birth mothers, and very indifferent. So that's when I went out on my own. And so what I do is not only do I help people with finding their birth families, I also help them. There are people that just don't have time to build their family trees, or they're not techno-savvy. I've got one client that's 89 that said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, and I want to leave this for my children. And so she hired me to build her family tree. And there are people that said, we had an aunt that died at a very young age, and it mystifies us. Could you help find her story? And I actually did a lot of research and was able to give them a beautiful picture of what their aunt was like, and it was very endearing. And then of course, being someone that, yes, it is a business. I do help people find their birth families, but there's a lot to it. It can take weeks, it can take months, it can take years, and I don't give up. I'll keep going until I've exhausted whatever I can. But I also work as a mediator, and I cold call people, and I work with people trying to get them to connect with their biological children and siblings. And sometimes it's better that there's a mediator in between, because then they're not being forced to connect immediately. And then we can work out, how will this work? Would you like to connect where you meet face-to-face or through a phone call, or are you not comfortable with it? It was too emotionally hard for you, but here is family medical history. Here are pictures if you'd like to see what we look like. Whatever is best for not just my client, but for the birth parents. We have to be so respectful of that. And so that is why I do what I do. It's very rewarding. And on the last page of my pamphlet, I showed several of the families that I have connected with. And
you lost your picture there.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. My husband was calling in, and he knows I'm on this. He probably lost something. Can't find it. But so anyway, those are several of the family members that I put together. The one in the center especially is one of my favorite ones, because the woman in pink wanted me to find her birth parents. And not only did I find her birth parents were college sweethearts, they gave up a child because they'd only been dating like 4 months and found out they were pregnant. The whole family, both sides, 5 grandparents, which included a step-grandparent, were all supportive of them putting this girl up for adoption, because it just was not the right time. Ironically, later, they dated and continued to fall in love more and got married, had their own children, and then 36 years later, they're talking to me. And I did work as a mediator in this. The mother and father were very scared of what their children would think, and I worked hard with them to go through the process, and it ended up so successful that you'll see that that's a wedding picture. Her brother got married, and the family was there, and the 2 little ones are her children, so the birth parents also are grandparents. And amazingly enough, the grandparents or great-grandparents of my client are all alive and all in their 80s and 90s and doing great, so they got to meet their first grandchild. So very rewarding. One of the cases over the right, where I showed the multiple pictures, I had a gentleman contact me because his mother, before his parents got married, had a relationship with the father, and they they had to give up a child. They were both married to other people at the time, and it wasn't a good time, so the grandmother had given them up, and he wanted me to find his brother, his full brother. The problem was, all he had for clues was that his grandmother worked with the woman. Her name was Corinne. He thought maybe his brother was born in '68. He had met him once. They were from Washington, D.C., and they lived sort of near each other. Well, I can't tell you what I went through. Washington, D.C., online phone books, sleuthing, going to census and finding the name Corinne is not a common name, and going, okay, where are Corinne's living in the year he was born in phone books so that I could possibly find his brother, which I did without DNA. It was pretty amazing, but it's very rewarding, and I want to say to all of you, if you're just starting your genealogy, good for you. And you know, when you get excited about those nuggets that you find, when you find the answers, it's just a rewarding feeling. And don't get bummed if other family members go, it's your joy right now, but it's something that is priceless and something you can hand down, because there's always going to be someone who's gonna want to know your family history. But, and last but not least, I will tell you, in doing genealogy, one of the things I remember back 20 years ago, you know, I didn't see the importance of certain things and traditions, and one of them was, was I going to just spread my ashes and be happy someday when I passed? And now I've realized, after doing this whole process, how important it is to document everything. And there will be a place so that maybe one day, if ancestors are looking for me, they will find my grave and they will find where I'm at in my family. But I apologize that I have to go. It's my daughter's 30th birthday, and I've got to go into my event, but good luck. And you can call that the cell phone number, Dale's got it. You can text me or call me if you have any questions, either business-wise, or maybe you just have a simple question you want answered. That's great. Also email me, or I'm on Facebook at findyourfamilywithmary.com, and you can message me there as well too. And have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thank you again for your presentation. Okay, I guess we're going to open up now, turn the lights on, and I apologize for the sound, but that's the loudest we can get it. Now, we have someone here from the library too, Danielle. I don't know if she wants to start off.
I'm Danielle Kowalski. I'm with the Valley Community Library, a local genealogy group that meets there once a month, so I got more information on that. We also have free access to newspapers.com. You know, want to be a part of the group, so I know we had Mary speak of that, so we have free access to that.
Francis Burke, councilman. I'm interested in the whole plan.
Dave Moran, the Archbishop Council.
Jack Scheifler. I was born and raised here. I'm in visiting from San Francisco.
Diana Martini. I'm interested. My mother came from Pierceville, and I don't really know much beyond my great-grandfather.
Shirley Jones. I'm part of the Historical Society, and I've been doing research on my family for a number of years now.
Lorraine Dewar, part of the Historical Society.
Kathleen Myers, part of the Historical Society.
Erin Owen. I have a great interest in this as well. I'm doing research, as you could tell, from my mother's side of the family that came in from Ellis Island, from Italy, different parts. And the funniest story is, on my son-in-law's birthday, his both parents died early. And on his birthday, he never knew, his parents never told him, but on his birthday, he found out he had a sister that was looking for him.
Oh, that's really cool.
And they connected. And I think it was from the heavens, from his dad, that brought them together on his birthday. So I hear a lot of stories like that, so it interests me. When I was growing up, I would ask my mother. I didn't know my grandparents. I did. But at that time, I feel sad now that I didn't ask more questions. And a lot was lost and not documented that I didn't know about his parents, second, third generation grandparents, and how important it is. And I just feel very sad that I didn't do more when they were alive. So now we're up to this task. But thank God for DNA, and we came a long way. So I have a great interest in that. Thank you.
Jeff. We're up to you, Jeff.
I'm just here. I'm here all the time.
Dave Kecklock, I'm president of the Historical Society.
Sam Motz, librarian, Archibald Borough Historical Society.
Anne-Marie Hankey-Evans, I'm secretary of the Archibald Historical Society. I've been doing family research and genealogy for about 30 years. It started off a very short project, and it just kept going and going and going. And you keep thinking, well, you got to get to the end, you know, because you have to move on to other things. And 30 years later, we're still going. It's changed so much, though, online. So that was a big game changer. Yep.
John Mello, interested member of the Archibald Borough Historical Society.
Irv Austin, I'm with the Archibald Group. I've been doing this for maybe 20, 25 years, I guess.
Thank you.
Dale Kecklock with the Archibald Borough Historical Society, and I also run historicaldata.com. And I have 564 cemeteries. I photographed over 64,700 tombstones. And on our YouTube channel, we're over 1,000 videos. We have up and down the valley on everything.
Stoney Craig, Francis Craig, in the phone book. I'm a VP of the Historical Society. I'd like to thank our guests here, speakers tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm Jack Moran. I've been doing research for about 30 years, starting off from rolls of film into today's technology and the computers, and I've done quite a bit through the computers now, so I have fairly good knowledge. I have ancestry. She stole all of my thunder that I was going to talk about. She has it all there, and all of those items I've looked at over time. And if anybody needs any help in any area, I do also spend a lot of time in the Archibald records. I've gotten the Archibald Citizen. I have a diary from the Carroll, I think it was, wasn't it? Carroll's from the 1880s, some into about 1889, and a number of mine records and stuff that I've, unfortunately, when I did them on a program that's no longer available, so I did make printouts before that happened, so I had the printouts and they're alphabetical. So I have a lot of stuff on Archibald.
Cemetery.
And the cemetery. I did the old cemetery. If you're looking for records up there, I did the map and the cemetery. I have that here. And if you're looking for a family member, when I went looking, and I'm related to the Carneys and Cardins in Archibald, trying to find them up there, they're all over the place. So I ended up making a map and recording it and alphabetizing it. So I can have, within a 12 by 24 spot, you can find your family. That's it, Bill. That's it. That's up to you.
Me?
Yeah.
You know, that's a terrible thing. You know, I'm Irish. You know, you can't let me talk because I don't quit. I've never kissed the Blarney Stone on three trips because I heard what people do at night, but whatever. But anyway, this is my original teacher at the Griznip. He would bounce me around to take care of it, and he taught me all the basic principles where we start with, well, how far should we go? Should we kick it right off? Because what normally happens is, okay, I have my family back to 1871, which is about the farthest I can go with documented evidence. And on occasions, somebody will say something to me and give me some information, and if I can't sleep at night, I might go till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Right, Irv?
I could attest to that, yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can. You can.
He gave me a lot of info.
Sammy can testify to that because I actually found his great-great-grandfather's information in Italy, you know, and I don't speak Italian, you know. And as we go through this, you know, it's always, everybody, you start with information that you can get from the oldest person living in your family is where you start. Okay? Now, on occasion, that information may not be correct because my last living aunt would always say, my great-grandfather, he'd be sitting in the corner having his beer and somebody would say something, he goes, I'm from Mayo. Right? And I thought, oh man, that's pretty good, where I can get to there. And he's not. He was born in Enniscrone, June the 3rd, 1871. You know? And when I went to actually to County Sligo, and I actually went to the their history center, the girl was very nice. She took the information from me, and she goes, where'd you get this? I said, it was online. Well, I know it was online, she said, because I'm the one who typed it. Let me take a look. I said, okay. So I putzed around for 45 minutes. She comes back and she goes, hey, Bill. I go, what? Okay, your great-grandfather? Only one born here in County Sligo. You're in the wrong county. She goes, hop the bus, head back over to Mayo. And I'm thinking, okay. You know, I walked down to take the bus home. Well, back to our hotel. And the bus driver said to me, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm going back to the terminal. He goes, if you want, I'll take you with us. I said, okay, not a problem. And he said, you'll take the school bus out to Ross's Point where you need to be. I said, okay. Right? And all of a sudden, there's a guy walking up the street, kicks the door open, and gets in, and he goes, okay, take me where I want to go. The bus driver said, no, I can't, I'm done. You have 2 people here. Should I beat the snot out of him? And then I'll take his place? He says, don't do that. He goes, oh, he goes, you people, how could you do this to me? He goes, I just buried me poor old mother today. I was the only one with the casket. I had to carry it on me back. He goes, and then I had to go get a couple beers, and he says, now I need to get home. And the bus driver said, get off the bus. No. He goes, how could you do this to me? He goes, I'll tell you what I'll do. He goes, I'll teach you all how to shoot an AK-47. You know? And anybody who knows me knows I would come up with something stupid and say, well, I know how to do that already. You know? But the bus driver got him off the bus. And then I thought they were going to kill each other. And I'm thinking, I can't drive a bus that way, on the wrong side of the road like that. You know? But anyway, that's just how life goes, you know? And I'm really glad that Jack taught me a lot of this stuff, you know? I did do my DNA through Ancestry, 18,162 DNA cousins, and then somehow, if you're a male, what you want to do is do a Y DNA test to go from father to son, grandfather to great-grandfather. So I did that a couple months ago, and I got an email from a guy who said, hey, guess what, buddy? You go back to Walter de Burgo in the 1700s based on your thing. I said, cool, you know? But, and if you were to go upstairs right now and look in the bookcase, there's quite a few binders of information on people from town that I put together when I don't sleep, you know? Okay, so we're all in? What do we want to start with next, Dale?
Well, you're talking about what Jack did on the cemetery. As far as St. Thomas Cemetery, what Jack did and what Bill has given me on the obits, there's 250 some obits of people buried there that have no stones. So between his information and our website, you could find who's buried in St. Thomas there. But at least 250 obits, and they have no stones at all.
I do.
How you doing?
I've been on your site.
Okay.
And for the most part, it's really impressive. The only thing that I wish you could add is the date of the obituary that's posted on that site.
The newer ones are, that when I first started putting them on there a few years ago, I didn't. Yeah, I have to change, I have to get the dates on there. But the recent ones I've been putting the dates on. But he found 250 people that have no stones, and I think 22 Civil War veterans. Only 2 have stones. The rest we don't know where they're buried up there, but they are buried, and according to the obits. But it seemed like that cemetery was a repository. Bill said they were being buried from Pittston and all over Wilkes-Barre. I mean, back in the 1890s, early 1900s, you want to get buried, well, take them up St. Thomas.
Are the things that you posted just cemeteries in Lackawanna County, or do they
No,
cover-
all over. Yeah, I got Bradford, Wyoming County, some out of state, one in Manhattan, and what we're getting, we're going to open it up so other people could add pictures, but we got to go through the legalities of that because, you know, someone posts something that's copyrighted. The code, I think he wrote most of the code for that, so we're going to redo the site, put that online where people could add, and not only stones, but old pictures, old family pictures, old town pictures. That'll be all. It'll be a way different site, but we're getting up to 13,000 visitors a month on it.
Is there a list of all those cemeteries that you posted?
Yeah, you can go on the site and you can see county by county
Okay.
and state by state.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only really focused up here. I didn't really
Yeah.
look beyond that. Okay.
We have a lot of forms and things that are here, so if anybody's starting out or whatever.
On the table there, yeah.
All the forms are here. This is one of the forms that you'll find there, and this takes about your great-grandparents, and I did this probably about 2 weeks ago. I went to a it's actually a birthday, and one of the people had said, I'd like to know about where my family came from and more about my family. Maybe they knew their fathers and grandfathers, but now further back. So I spent about a day and a half or so, and I went through all the tools that that young lady talked about, and I was able to bring it back to their great-great-grandparents. And in doing the genealogy, you look at ancestry, and ancestry, there's other people searching the same names, and I was able to pick up that particular great-grandparent's marriage records and their immigration records. And through that, in fact, I haven't given her that yet, but that's definitely one. And that's all of what she was talking about there is what you can do. I have different forms here to show you if you want to see what a marriage record is or death records. Death records is really important because it tells, most times, it tells you who the other parents were, their parents were, that the people that died. But there's a lot of connections. My brother's back there, but I found an aunt, and I think he knows about it now, but it was born within one day I passed away. Didn't know it for all these years, and by doing the research that I do, I was able to pick it up, and it took me over 25 years to find it, but it was there. It was just sitting looking at me, and then we had DNA done, and doing the DNA transfer, which I suggest that you first do a lot of this research on your own before you go into the DNA, because DNA is going to give you so much that you'll be overwhelmed with it. So you try to build it from yourself back, and I can show you how to do that. But I found a cousin in England through the DNA. She had contacted me, and ended up one of our relatives during the war had fathered a child, didn't know about it, and she didn't know who her parents were because her mother kept telling her it was someone else, and then when I wound up at the end, we connected. I was able to connect the individuals, and so I know, I mean, her father now is dead, but we're cousins. We communicate once a month now. So there's a lot of ways to go about doing it, but as she said and Bill has said, you start with yourself and come back. And when you get hung up, look around. We'll give you help. I see Barbara Spellman back there, and did talk to her one time. A lot of the Irish, when they came here, ended up coming here. Some of them, at that point in time, I think it was back around the 1870s, things were a little tough around here for them. They ended up going homesteading. They went to Nebraska. I don't know if you've all heard about that, but they all went out to homesteading out there. If you kept your land for about 10 years, you would have it, you got it free and clear, you can end up doing anything you want, but you had to farm it at that period of time. And when they were doing this homesteading, or looking for the homesteading, just a little trivia. Catholic priest in Omaha, Nebraska, and not the priest, but the bishop, was concerned about, he wanted to bring people together, Catholic families, and bring them to Nebraska. So he sent all his priests out, looking at different places in the Northeast. One of them went to Carbondale, and he recruited a number of people from Carbondale who ended up going out to Nebraska. A lot of them stayed there, and then a lot came back. My great-grandparents came back. And if you noticed the Nebraska section up in Archibald, some of the name Nebraska came from there. That's, I think Tom Cluffer called them Bohemians, but it was the Nebraska people coming back. And the reason they came back to Nebraska section of Archibald, or the Archibald area, was because Edgerton was just being formed. That was the newest mine in the area. So quite naturally they headed right back towards the newest mine, because there were some of these farmers that were in Nebraska came back, they were actually miners to start with. So that's the story of Nebraska, if you're ever interested in doing it, living about it. So if anybody have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I was able to find my great-great-grandfather. Bill gave me a copy of the cemetery map that you had, but he had names to go with it too. But now my great-grandfather, there's a picture on the one that Dale has, but how would I find out where the stone is? Do I just have to do a grid when I go up there?
I have to grid.
He's got it.
Oh, okay.
They have a map.
Okay.
I can show you. It's,
thank you. I'll talk to you later then.
Sure.
But you know, when you say about the Nebraska thing, there actually was in the Archibald Citizen a list of the name of every person that left. I did print a copy of it, and the original librarian, I don't know where he put it, up in the office, and it was one of those nights where I couldn't sleep, and when you go in and just throw things out to look for, it popped up.
This is, that was Tom Cluffer?
Yeah.
Tom had this letter, I think this is the letter he's talking about. This is from the Carbondale newspaper, but it's unknown when the date, there's an unknown date, it states up on top, unknown date. But it's a story about the people leaving here, and that's the story I just told you is on here, but it also talks about I forget the names now, there's a guy up there that ran a coal business, and he's one that went out and came back, but a number of other people are there, and they all wound up in O'Connor, Greeley, Nebraska. And so it's interesting, and you can take a look at it if you like. Any other questions?
Got a question for him. How far along are you guys in your research? Are you just starting, or the mid-range, or you're...
We can help you anyway.
Yeah.
We can break up now if you want to, if you have anybody that...
Can I just do a commercial here?
Sure.
Since we're representing the Lackawanna Historical Society, and I've recently had experience with working with Archibald, which was invaluable because I was doing work for a client and I really didn't know anything about Archibald, and now I know a lot more than I ever thought I would know. However, at the Lackawanna Historical Society, we do have a genealogy forum. During the winter, we're generally doing sessions online, but starting this month, we are going to be doing our in-person sessions that deal with specific countries that your ancestors came from. And on May 20th, Tom is going to be doing England and Wales at the Valley Community Library. Kate and I are going to be doing Ireland at the North Pocono Library in June. We have an Italian session that's going to happen at Abington in July. August is Taylor, that's Poland. And then in September, Tom is going to be doing Germany back at the Valley Community Library. And then every October, because it's Family History Month, the three of us do a beginner's workshop, and we do it at the Albright Memorial in downtown Scranton on Saturday mornings. These are all Saturday morning times, and if anybody's interested in any of them, you can register through the Historical Society, the Lackawanna Historical Society. The only thing we ask is that make sure you've done as much of your American side of your research and have a reasonably good idea where in that country you're interested in. I know for Archibald County Mayo, I didn't find anybody else in Archibald any other place other than Mayo. My people were from Manuka, so they were Galway. Everybody thinks that all Manukans came from Ballina in County Mayo. They did not. They also came from Galway. And so there's a lot that Kate and I have done specifically because both of our ancestries are in Ireland. So we try to accommodate as best we can to give people direction where you should look and how you should go about finding things in that specific country. We can't have you come in and say, well, my grandmother's from Italy, can you help find her? Well, Italy's a big country and it's divided into a variety of sections, so that's the one thing that we ask. But I just wanted you to know that this is out there. We've been doing this since COVID. We started in COVID and then we were doing everything through Zoom. But now we've branched out and we're back doing in-person things, particularly in the good weather. Yeah, sure.
The ones that we're doing on the country starting this month are free.
Yes.
The one in October there is a charge for because we have a ton of handouts.
Yeah.
All three of us have been doing research for 35 years, so we're well versed in what we're doing. We have well over 100 years of experience between the three of us.
Mm-hmm. But you have a really good resource here in Archibald. You know, not every community in Lackawanna County really has a strong historical society attached to it. Some are better than others. Archibald is really one of the better ones, so you're really lucky to have them as a resource, particularly if your ancestors are from here. So it's a good way to start connecting with other historical societies. The other thing is there's a fair on September 30th. Is it going to be a big one? No. Yeah, I'm not sure, but they try to bring all the historical societies together from the area in one place so that as people are there coming in, they can start to tap into the resources that those particular historical societies have. So
They did it last year down the mall.
yes, they did.
We were there.
Yeah, so they're going to do it again, and I'm pretty sure it's September 30th. So, yeah. So I just wanted to do that little commercial.
You could add County Sligo to the Archibald people.
Oh, really?
Now, if you go on the County Sligo website, you'll see the baptisms and marriages for them.
Yeah.
Back in the 1830s. I don't know if you've done that.
No, I haven't, but you just reminded me, and Kate just said something. In 1898, some of the boundaries in Ireland changed. And if you were born along the Sligo-Mayo border, depending on where that townland was before 1898 is where your family would have originated from.
Correct.
And because I have that circumstance in one of my ancestors, and that was the Galway-Mayo border. So sometimes when you're looking through some of the Irish records, which can be tedious at best, sometimes you think you should be looking in Mayo when you actually should be looking at something in one of the parishes closer to the border, because that's where they could.
This is Castle Connor Parish, which is, actually hits both, I think.
Does it? Yeah.
Well, it's right on the border.
Okay, yeah.
That's like, when you had talked to me before, for just general information, there are Spellmans here in Archibald.
There are, and I'm not related to any of them.
And they're not related to them. Many years ago, when I was working as a volunteer down at Risnick, I got involved with the Cusick Funeral Home. I know there's a bet or something else in there. So when I did search the Spellmans up here, because the Cusicks are there's a Spellman in the family.
Is there really?
And what it was, he was, let's see, Owen Cusick is when she married. She's from here, and she married Owen
Okay.
Cusick.
Yeah.
And Owen Cusick died from, he was thrown from a buggy. And it's in the newspapers. If you go to newspapers.com, you'll find it. He was riding with Casey, who owned a hotel. Might have been the big one, I think it is. And he was in the horse. Another horse came down the carriage, scared this horse, threw Cusick out. He died.
Wow.
So that's how I followed him. And I gave it to Mr. Cusick. Now, he's the funeral parlor. So, I forget their first names, but
Eugene.
Gene.
Yeah. Eugene Cusick.
Yeah.
Eugene.
Right.
And he was doing some, I don't know, he may have called and asked for some information, but I followed up further and I was able to give it to him.
Yeah, like the nice lady, when she said about going to irishgenealogy.ie, if anybody is interested and wants to see what something looks like that you can pull from there, there's one copy. Anybody wants to come up and look at it. From Roots, Ireland. This is before they kind of upgraded themselves. This would be my great-great-grandparents, where it says that they were married in Balasakiri in the chapel in 1870. And didn't they tell you, she goes, go to the National Library for church registers. And if you want to see what one actually looks like, it's like right there.
Wow.
That would be my great-great-grandparents, where they were actually married in the church records. And once you start to do it, it only takes about, well, for me, it only took about 3 hours, where I could read anything that anybody wrote, which was kind of scary, because I think I shouldn't be that smart, you know. But that's a lot of it. And as they say, anybody who's just starting, when you start to go back and look, you might find some really freaky things that you don't want to know about. There is a cousin, Stanley Burke, from Scranton, and well, actually there were two of them. There were two Burke brothers. They married sisters, the Kilduff sisters from Music Street, and they both had a Stanley. And it's really odd. I don't know a lot of Irish people that have Stanleys in their family, trying to track it down. But going through all of this, the one Stanley, he cut a guy's throat open down in Scranton at a coffee shop. The police came and took him. And the next day in the newspaper, he was a poster child for police brutality because they almost killed him. They beat the snot out of him. And then, they put him in jail for a year, and then he just disappeared. He signed up for the war, and then when he got his notice to come for his medical treatments to look at him, gone. And then an article in the newspaper said, oh yeah, he worked for the circus. I'm thinking, no, and he just disappeared, and I still cannot find him whatsoever in any of the things. And some of the other stories that came through was my great-grandmother. She got killed in a fire. One story said it was like a hotel fire. Another one said it was just a fire someplace. And finally, when I tracked it down through newspapers, she caught her dress on fire down in the Riverside section of Archibald. She ran out of the house screaming. The neighbors came out, they threw water on her, rugs, blankets. She ended up going to the state hospital. She was there for 3 months and she died. And when they did the autopsy, she had tuberculosis at the same time with the fire. Now, my great-grandfather, he never liked it here in the United States. Now, there was a Michael Baltus who used to run a hotel on Main Street. That was his brother. And so when my great-grandmother died, he packed up the 3 youngest kids. He left my grandmother here with her grandparents, and he went back to Germany. Now, and as the story goes, they all kind of separated. And during the war, my great Aunt Maria, her house was destroyed. She lost everything. And she would stand outside as the US military would come through, shooting, throwing grenades and stuff, and she would stand there and she would go, Archibald, 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 Archibald. And they would just look at her, and she was trying to find somebody who maybe knew her sister. Now, my other great aunt Clara, the last place we knew, she was in Munich at the time. And, okay, now, what I tell you doesn't leave this room. She had 18 kids, and she was never married. So my joke at the time when I was a kid said, oh, Dad, you think she was off limits to USGIs? And she couldn't go to USO things, dances? And they just told me, be quiet and be good. And I said, okay. But I can't find any information about her or about her father, Nicholas. You know, I don't know if he signed up with the German army, if he got killed. So there's the brick wall.
Yeah.
You know?
Danielle, do you want to do a promo for what you have at the library?
Yeah, so at the library, we have a bunch of different free resources, including Ancestry Library Edition, so you get all access to Ancestry for free. You just need to come to the library and use any of the computers at the library. We also have Heritage Quest. We'll be having that. It's actually going to be expiring in July, but you could access it. So we're going to be probably getting a replacement. That's what I was been told by IT. But for now, with Heritage Quest, with just your library card, you could access that at home. That gets you free access to some things that you could find on Ancestry, because it is a branch off of Ancestry. You get you census records, stuff like that. And I do have a little bit tip sheet of different most common records and how to search most of the records. We do have a genealogy club that meets at 3:30 on the first Wednesday of every month. So I have different calendars so you can see what's going on. And also the library, we do have free access to newspapers.com, so there's no need to buy a subscription. We have a login here and also tips on how to use it.
So you just need your library card for that, Danielle?
For Heritage Quest, yes.
Okay. But to use the newspapers.com?
Newspapers.com, you don't need it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome to take one. You're welcome. Yes. Yeah, so you just, the director at the library, Kristen, she made an email and password, so if you just sign that at home, you could get right on.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't change the password. Like somebody did at one point.
These guys are so supportive. I have to just say that. They are really supportive. When I walked in, I was like, I had a zillion questions and I didn't know sites. I didn't know where to go to look for the information. And holy moly, I mean, you're responsible for me finding, starting to solve a mystery of a missing child. Because you gave me websites to use that I didn't know existed, and links to resources that are local that I didn't know existed. So I sat down, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna teach myself how to do this, and bam, 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 and I'm like, I just solved a little mystery. I just got one step closer to finding a baby that was missing in the family. So, you know, it's very much appreciated, very, very much appreciated. And Dale's gonna help me find a grave of a great aunt of mine up in Wayne County. We're gonna go up there and we're gonna take pictures of the grave. I'm gonna help them with that, and we're gonna look for a grave up there. You know, it's cool though, it really is. They're very, very helpful.
For those of you who are just starting out, a couple of reminders. One, don't forget you have living relatives and pick their brains. And ask for pictures, because you don't know who got which pictures. You may not have them. but, you know, your
That's
second
correct.
cousin
And
in
also-
Poughkeepsie might have, right?
A lot of people are covering a lot of the same subject. That's one of the best ones that people don't realize. Ask who are in the photos and document them, because I have so many photos that were passed down in the family, I have no idea who they are.
Right, if you have people who are older, you
Ask
know
anybody
who they are.
in your family.
Label.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's one thing. The second thing is be sure that you document. Don't assume that every story you hear from your family
It's true.
is true.
It's true.
Take half
You know,
of
you
the
can always
salt.
get that, well, mom told me. Well,
And you can mark it as such, though. You know, family lore is, I learned this from,
Right.
and that's what it is. And a lot of times, it really has a root to what the story is. But sometimes they
yeah.
add a little bit to it, a little bit, to make it a little bit more fun. But very good point.
Or to cover a few sets of tracks, you know. But stories do change. But document
Perfect.
what you find,
When somebody gives it,
even when
Yep.
family tells you to be true.
you can
Excellent.
complete it. They're over there if anybody.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Traced my family back, Scheiflers, and they came here to 1814.
Wow.
And then we went further, and we found it came from Lauterbach in Germany. On one of my visits to Germany, I went and saw the grave sites. But how we started, it was before Ancestry.com and all that, we did the census, and we got a lot from that. But then we also did the world headquarters for the Mormon Church in Salt Lake City. They mark everything down.
That's family search. The LDS up here in Park Center used to run it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add to what Kate just said is don't be afraid to look at siblings of ancestors. We're great believers in what's called collateral research. And if you start hitting brick walls with your straight line ancestry, start looking at brothers and sisters of your grandparents or your great grandparents because they might hold the key to what it is you need to get back to that other generation. It's more work, but most of the time it pays off.
Yep, all these tangents on your tree, but they're still all connected.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, and don't assume that, you know, just because you're just looking for Irish, you're not going to find them in Wales or in Scotland because they sometimes went to those countries to work before they came here, in England. Because the one that Tom is doing on England and Wales, my mother's side of the family, one of her branches, were from Cork, but they went to Wales, got married, had children, and then came here from Wales. So those records are great, the ones that you can find in England. In what is it, I forget what it is, the initials for the English.
The BMD.
BMD, yeah.
Free BMD.
Free BMD.
Free BMD, yeah.
And don't forget to join Facebook groups. I have to say, I had such unexpected, joyous experiences just knowing, for example, my mother was born in Italy, and then on my father's side, both sets of his grandparents were from Italy, the Calabria region in Sicily. All I wanted to know was the towns that they were from. That's all I wanted to know. Yeah, right. Anyway, so what I did is, once I found those town names, I went to Facebook and I joined Facebook groups from those towns, and they do exist. You could just search them. By joining those Facebook groups for those specific towns, then I started to read other people's posts, and I would read all of the responses and the banter back and forth. So I started to learn how to formulate my question. So, you know, I would put it out there and it would sound competent, you know, and then people would start answering me. And some guy answered me, and he's like, well, this is the marriage certificate from your great-grandparents in Carbondale, and this and this and this and this, and he goes, private message me, so I did. And he's like, I knew your great-grandfather. I'm from Carbondale. He goes, I live in Florida now, I'm retired, but he goes, I do genealogy. And he goes, I could help you answer some questions. If I didn't join that Facebook group, the time that man has spent with me on the phone from Florida, just teaching me how to use websites, incredible. So don't discount the Facebook. Join those, find them, research it, find them, and join those groups and start reading the banter, and you'll be amazed.
And sometimes they will do research for you.
Yeah.
I had posed a question in my husband's family. There had been an attack on his great-great-grandmother, and the guy was arrested, but I never could find anything after that. So I posted it in the Mayo Genealogy group. Within 2 hours, I had the 2 follow-up court reports. So,
Or people are like, oh yeah, I lived in the same town, and you know, I still have family
Amazing.
there, and then before you know it, you're getting pictures and information from those towns. Yeah,
Your
it's a great resource.
genealogy person down there, Mary Ann,
yes,
she's a Moran from
from Archibald, yes.
March. And this is my daughter here, and she mentioned to me something about Mary Ann said that one of her relatives died in the prison here. They had a little cell somewhere, and he died overnight. He was drunk, and they put him in there, and he hit his head on a pipe or something, and he died. Anyway, she told me the name. I said, wait a minute. And they're related. They're cousins. I think he was a Cardin, Stanley Cardin. And I'm related to Cardins and Cardis. We are. So we'll find out that we're distant cousins, but we'll be distant.
I think if you dig back far enough in northeastern Pennsylvania, most of the Irish
We're
are
all
related.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing we do at our society,
That's true, except that
we interview a lot of the old people. We did a lot.
Our great-grandparents, some came from West Virginia, and the one from Nebraska. The guy that came from Nebraska was in homesteading in Nebraska. He started out in Ireland, married, moved to Canada, had 2 children. One of mine used to be my direct relative. He had 2 children, then moved down from Canada down into German. And from German, his first wife died. He had a second wife. He had a couple other children. He took that second family, and they all went out to Nebraska homesteading. My great-grandmother stayed. She married at that time. So it's interesting to find out where they all started and where they came from.
I'm going to throw out an advertisement here. We do have a Facebook page. Ours is kind of small, but we would love if you would join. And if you have any questions, we have Sam and Bill they usually respond after a day or 2. Up here on this table, these green papers, we have the registration if you'd like to join for a year. You will also post any of our upcoming events right there. You can find them.
Is anybody interested in going upstairs to look at the library itself?
Or break into smaller groups now. And feel free to pick up any papers.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should probably go up and take a look.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
I hear it's pretty cool.
The only one that has the knowledge of it is Bill and Sam.
They could go up.
They know where all the skeletons are hidden. So they'll take you
We're
out
not
of
supposed to talk about that DVD that we have made.
We do have a lot of DVDs. We interviewed a lot of people and got a lot of good stories about the town.